My video for January the 20th, 2019 is video number 2971. Title is God Never Promised Us a Rose Garden. As I thought about my first video after the recent fiasco with Spectrum and deciding that my plans to record with Steve Hart would have to wait till at least Monday, I thought of the Rose Garden song by Lynn Anderson. Quote, I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden. Along with the sunshine, there's got to be a little rain sometimes. When you take, you got to give. So live and let live or let go. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden. I could promise you things like big diamond rings, ... end quote. What exactly, I wonder, did God ever promise us? Or was anything truly promised at all? If it was a rose garden, as beautiful as roses are, they still have their thorns. I guess life is like that. I get accused by some of being negative, as if a positive mental attitude can actually change anything. I was really sure we would see positive change for humanity by 2012 at the latest. I was so wrong. Many others believe that too. There will never be a majority who work for a peaceful world unless some of God's alleged promises actually materialize. I seriously doubt there are or will be rose gardens in heaven, with or without thorns. Spirit has no matter. Regardless of my doubts, I still choose love and truth. Yes, it was a most trying day for me, not having the internet for over 24 hours. And I actually lucked out because they kept calling me saying that they thought the problem was fixed and did I want to cancel the appointment that I had at between 5 and 6 o'clock to have a technician come and get my computer working again. And so finally, after, I don't know, third or fourth call from Spectrum, I called them and I says, what is this? You know, you're telling me in all the messages that the promise or the problem rather seems to be fixed, but I still don't have internet. I have telephone, I have TV, and they're on the same line, but I don't have internet. So anyway, they put me through to a technician who actually talked me through and was able to resolve the issue without having to have a technician come to the house and fix anything. It was all done over the air. So I actually got my computer back mid-afternoon today, and catching up on all the emails and everything. And as I said, I had sent a message to Steve asking if he wanted to record today. And then I thought, wait a minute, I've got so many things I've got to do. Why would I want to? It takes a lot longer to do a video with somebody else than it does to make one for myself. So I messaged Steve back and I said, we're going to have to wait till Monday. Anyway, Lynn Anderson's song, I don't know how that came into my head, but as I was pondering, that's what came to me. And I've been pondering these promises that God has apparently made. I believe my whole life that God has made, that we would actually see the kingdom of heaven materialize, not some spirit world where there is no materiality. I mean, I'm not sure what that even feels like or is. I don't have personal recollections of what that's like. I can imagine, like everybody else, I have an imagination, and I can imagine how it would be, how nice it would be to be Star Trek of beam me up, Scotty, and dematerialize in one place and rematerialize in another place. But we still have material there, don't we? It's still materialization. And life, to me, requires materialization to have meaning. I like having a body. I would like the body to be healthier, especially my numb feet, as I keep saying. I'd like a lot of things to improve, not just for Ron, but for everybody. But look at the world. It's not run by people that have good intentions. And God seems to sit back and actually not care about that. It doesn't seem to bother God at all. And some people say, well, that's because with God, one day with us is 1,000 years with God. So that's a lot of lifetimes, folks. 1,000 years is a lot of human lifetimes at the current rate. I mean, if the Bible is accurate, some people live to be almost 1,000 at one point in time, or certainly into the hundreds of years. But that's not the reality of our current world. And there are a lot of people in our current world that seem to have an agenda of control, and not only control, but they don't tell the truth. They don't honor life. They don't honor any of the values that we would say are high human values. They seem to succumb to the lowest common denominator, and they promote people that don't seem to have any qualms about hurting others or stealing or lots of things. I mean, I've repeated this again and again. And I know other people who all of our lives and all of their lives have testified that they had faith that God was going to actually do something, that God was real. And the proof, even though we held on to our faith for a long time, decades in many cases, the proof was never really forthcoming. And I question even the experience that I had where the light filled the room. What was that light? Because what I was told in that light was to sacrifice my only son. Now, would a loving God tell me to sacrifice my son? In retrospect, no, I don't think so. But that's what I thought was God talking to me. So in looking back and reflecting on it, I have to say it was not a good God. A loving God would not ask me to sacrifice my son, but I thought God sacrificed his son. Did he really? No, I no longer believe that. Jesus actually survived the crucifixion and left and went back to India. And there are documented stories and evidence of God, or of, I shouldn't say of God, of Jesus actually being in India. And, there's places where the Muslims have taken over in Pakistan, but they still have things that honor Jesus, even in the Muslim countries, because Jesus was honored by the Jews, by the Christians, of course, by the Muslims, and by the Hindus and Buddhists. All the major religions hold Jesus in high esteem, whether they have all their dots connected or not, whether their story is straight or not, doesn't really matter. Jesus is a figure that is held in high esteem. And I think rightly so. He came with a message of loving one another. He came with a message that, that there were beings that were in his generation that he called a generation of vipers and an offspring of the evil one, or of Satan. What does all this mean? This is what I'm trying to get through. I don't want to be negative. I want to be positive, but I want to see positive change that materializes in the physical world. The physical world, to me, is the real world. And I know a lot of people say, no, the spiritual world is the real world. But then why have a physical world at all? If that's the real world, why demote us into physicality? Why? I have lots of questions, lots of whys, lots of what next questions, because I want my life to have meaning. I want your life to have meaning. Thank you for listening, and namaste.